So, good Navy morning, cadets and cadets. So, our topic for today is all about military justice system. So, the scope of presentation. Introduction, sources of military law, military jurisdiction, selective punitive articles, and the court-martial. Introduction. So, the military justice system was meant to enable commanders to dispose personal problems in their units in the most expeditious manner. Speedy disposition of cases preserves discipline, promotes justice, and enhances the attainment of the commander's mission. So this means that the military have their own law to find an effective, efficient way to discipline the personnel who commit a crime. Next. In concept, the military justice system is designed to enforce discipline and administer justice in the military service, and it is composed of 4 components. So, sa Philippine justice system, na may 5 pillars. So, here in military justice system, they have 4 components, which are the investigation. So, investigation is the process of looking into the circumstances of a case for the purpose of verifying and establishing the fact. So, dito sa investigation, kailangan ang mga ebidensya ay dapat investigahan upang maipresenta ito sa korte. So, dito sa investigation, nakalahad dito ang katotohanan tungkol sa mga tungkol sa pag-commit ng crime. Next is the prosecution. So, prosecution is the accusation of a crime before a legal tribunal. So, dito sa prosecution, lahat ng ebidensya ay analyze ng isang prosecutor. So, next is the trial or adjudication. So, a legal action before a judge and jury. So, dito sa trial, malalaman mo ang punishment ng isang akusado dahil sa trial or adjourn na paraan ng isang korte. Next is the judgment or decision. So, punishment given to the accused who commit such crime. So, dito sa judgment or decision, ang maghahatol is ang court-martial. Ihahatol ng court-martial ang punishment ng isang akusado depende sa crime na niyang commit. Next, these same components permit or fill 2 distinct divisions of the system, namely, first is administrative cases, are those that result in decision not involving penal sanctions and may take such mild disciplinary and instructive forms as admonition, reprimand, and the like. So, dito sa administrative cases, so ang nakomit ng isang military personnel is minor lamang. So, ang kanilang punishment is warning or disciplinary action lamang ang So, next is punitive cases are those that result in judgment of fine, hard labor, deprivation of liberty, or combination of this whenever guilt of those involved are proven. So, dito sa punitive cases, so, major offenses, yung mga ginagawa ng military personnel na pwede ma-involve sa article of war. So, yung offender dito is guilt to be proven beyond reasonable doubt. So, the type of evidence and degree of proof required are also different for these 2 categories. So, punitive cases require guilty to be proven beyond reasonable doubt, while administrative cases require only preponderance or occurrence of evidence to gain positive adjudication. Sources of military law. Articles of war are a set of laws known as Commonwealth Act No. 408 was enacted by the Philippine National Assembly on 14 September 1938. Among others, the Articles of War defines the offenses punishable under the law and prescribes the corresponding punishment. So, dito sa Articles of War, ma-define na yung mga offenses punishable under the law and prescribes the corresponding rules governing the conduct of military personnel and providing for a method by which person be punished are contained in the Articles of War. So, military jurisdiction emanates from several sources, among which are the Constitution of the Philippines, and international law. Military jurisdiction are carried out by the following agencies. So first is the court martial. Kung sa Philippine Military Justice System, ang tawag sa kanilang korte ay Supreme Court. Ito naman sa Military Justice System, ang tawag sa kanilang korte ay court martial. So, commanding officers in exercising their disciplinary powers under Article of War 105, then Court of Inquiry and Military Tribunals or Commission. So, as a general rule, court-martials have the exclusive jurisdiction over all persons subject to military law who commit an offense penalized by the punitive articles of war. To be more specific, the term person subject to military law refers to the following: all officers and enlisted personnel in the regular force of the AFP or the personnel of the AFP organization. All officers. Next is the all reservists from the date of their call to active duty and while on such active drive. Yung mga pure reservists sa Navy, sa Army, and in the military. Sila yung mga active reservists. Next is all cadets of the PME and PAF, flying school and probationary lieutenants in actual training. So lahat ng mga cadets sa PMA or PAF. Next is all trainees undergoing military instruction. 5 retainers to camp and all persons accompanying or serving with the AFP in the field in time of war or when martial law is declared. So they are the enlisted personnel or the active personnel. All persons under sentence and judged by a court-martial or military tribunal. So they are the persons subjective to military law. So, Article of War was promulgated and effective on September 14, 1938 when the Bicameral Philippine National Assembly enacted Commonwealth Act number 408, which became the basic law that gave the guidance and operations of the country's armed forces. So there are 120 articles, most of which are lifted from U.S. Uniform Code of Military Justice System. It is for this reason that our Articles of War have the same substance as the American Military Code of 1928, which was found applicable to Philippine conditions. Next is Punitive Articles of War. So first is Article 54 or the fraudulent enlistment or the false information. So, example, halimbawa, upang matanggap ka sa isang organization, piniki mo yung yung age mo para lang matanggap ka. So, yung na-commit na crime is fraudulent enlistment or false information. Next is Article 55 or officer making unlawful enlistment. Ito sa Article 55, any officer who unknowingly enlists or musters into the military service or in the Philippine Constabulary, enlistment or muster is prohibited by law, regulations, or order shall be dismissed from the service. So next is Article 56 or false muster. Any officer who knowingly makes a false muster is liable. Article 56. And next is Article 57 or false returns or omission to render returns. So in another term, incorrect report. So halimbawa, hiniram yung 100 rifles para gamitin sa field, tapos nung sinauli na, 89 na lang yung naibalik. So false returns or omission to render returns, which is liable in Article 57. Next is Article 58 or acts to constitute desertion. So, any officer under his resignation and prior to due notice of the acceptance of the same quits his post without leave, therefore shall be deemed or deserter. So, they are liable to the acts to constitute desertion under Article 58. Next is Article 59 or punishment for desertion. So, a person who deserts the EFP will be punished if the offense be committed in time of war, will suffer death or the punishment a court martial may direct. So this is what we call neglect of duty. So any officer who will do this will be liable for the punishment for desertion, or which is under the Article 59. Next is Article 60, advising or aiding another to desert. So, advising or aiding to another to desert. So, military personnel who persuades or assists another to desert will also suffer death and other punishment that the court martial may direct. Next is Article 61, or entertaining a deserter. Any officer who discovers that a soldier in his command is a deserter, and the service retains such deserter in his command without informing superior authority shall be punished or shall be liable for entertaining a deserter, which is under Article 61. So next is Article 62, absence without leave. So any officer fails to repair at the fixed time to the properly appointed place will be liable for absence without leave under Article 62. Article 63. Any person who disrespect toward the President, Vice President, Prime Minister, Chairman of the National Assembly, or Minister of National Defense shall be dismissed from the service or suffer other punishment. Article 64. Any military officers who behaves himself with disrespect to his superior shall be punished as a court martial may direct, or yung mga military officer na hindi na respeto sa kanilang superior officer. So, sila ay liable sa Article 64. So, Article 65, any military officer who disobeying superior officer. Article 66. Any military personnel na hindi nakikisama sa kanyang non-commissioned officer will be liable for insubordinate conduct toward non-commissioned officer under Article 66. Or any military personnel who strikes or assault, attempts or threatens to strike and willfully disobeys the lawful order of a non-commissioned officer while in the execution of his duty are liable under Article 66. Article 67. Any military personnel subject to male law who attempts to create or begins, excite, cause or joins any mutiny or sedition in any company, post, and detachment are liable under Article 67 or mutiny or sedition. So, Article 68, failure to suppress mutiny or sedition. Any military personnel or soldier who being present at any mutiny or sedition, knowing or having knowledge to believe that a mutiny or sedition is to take place. Article 69, quarrels, sprays, and disorders. Halimbawa, isa ka sa battalion commander, tapos may mission kayo, tapos yung grupo nyo ay hindi nagkakaintindihan, tapos walang unity, so you are liable for quarrels, sprays, and disorders under Article 69. Next is Article 70, arrest or confinement. Next is Article 71, charges, action upon. So, dapat yung penalty ay proportion or fair lamang. Next is Article 72, refusal or receive and keep prisoners. Next is Article 73, report of prisoners received. So, as an in charge sa kulungan, so you are obliged to report. So, if you fail that, you are liable to Article 73. So, next is Article 74, releasing prisoner without proper authority. So, any military officer who releases a prisoner without proper authority will be liable under Article 74. Next is Article 75, delivery of offenders to civil authorities. Next is Article 76, or misbehavior before the enemy. Any soldier or military personnel who misbehaves himself before the enemy, runs away, or shamefully abandon, or by any misconduct, disobedience, neglect, endanger the safe of any post or camp, is liable under Article 76. Next is Article 77, subordinate compelling commander to surrender. So, any military personnel subject to male law who compels or attempts to any commander of any garrison was camp to give it up to the enemy. Next is Article 78, improper use of countersign. And the next is Article 79, forcing a safeguard. Article 80, capture property to be secure from public service. So, any person who captured property to be secure for public service are liable under Article 80. So, any person dealing in capture or abandoned property, or any military personnel dealing in captured or abandoned property is liable under Article 81. Next is any military personnel relieving, corresponding with, or aiding the enemy is liable under Article 82. And next is Article 83. Any military personnel who in time of war shall be found working or acting as a spy of any camp, post, quarters, or encampment of the EFP is liable under Article 83. Next is Article 84, or military property, willful or negligent loss. Any military personnel willful or negligent loss or damage or wrongful disposition of military property, or any military personnel subject to male law who willfully or through neglect suffers to be lost, damaged, or wrongfully disposed any military property is liable under Article 84. Next is Article 85, ways or unlawful disposition of military property issued to soldiers. So, any military personnel or soldier who steals or wrongfully dispose of arms, ammunition, equipment, clothing, or other property issued for use and military service is liable under Article 85. Next is Article 86, drunk on duty. Any officer or military officer who is found drunk on duty shall, if the offense be committed in time of war, will be dismissed from the service, and if the offense committed in time of peace shall be punished as a court-martial may direct. Next is Article 87, or misbehavior of sentinel. So, any military personnel who is found drunk or sleeping in post, or who leaves it before he is relieved, shall suffer death penalty if the offense be committed in time of war. Next is Article 88, personal interest in cell of probation. So, any military personnel who have personal interests or who have committed personal interest in cell of probations is liable under Article 88. Any military personnel who committed unlawfully influencing action of court is liable under Article 88A. Next is Article 89, intimidating of persons bringing provisions. So, any military personnel intimidating of persons bringing provisions is liable under Article 89. Next is Article 90, good order to be maintained and wrong redressed. So, any military personnel subject to male law are to behave themselves orderly, subject to male law who commits any waste or spoiling or willfully destroy any property whatsoever is liable under Article 90. So again, court-martial and other military tribunals generally exist to assess commanders in the administration of military justice. Specifically, they are established to enforce discipline in the military establishment and to serve as deterrents to military crimes and offenses. Types of court-martial. First is general court-martial, consists of any number of members not less than 5 and by whom may be appointed by the following: President, Chief of Staff of the AFP, and when empowered by the President, the commanding officers of major commands or task forces, division, regional commands, the superintendent of the Philippine Military Academy, commanding officers of separate brigades or body of troops. So dito sa General Court Martial, yung mga membro ay less than 5 lamang. So they are the President, Chief of Staff of the AFP, and the empowered by the President, the commanding officers of major commands or task force, division, regional commands, the superintendent of the Philippine Military Academy, and the commanding officers of the separate brigades or body of troops. Next is Special Court Martial. So Special Court Martial consists of any member not less than 3. The following may appoint Special Court Martial: commanding officers of major commands, task forces, regional commands or divisions, and when powered by the President, commanding officer of a garrison, camp, brigade, regiment, detached battalion, or other detached command or commission vessel. In Special Court Martial, any number of officers not less than 3 shall have the power to try any person subject to military law for any crime or offense not capital made punishable by the Articles of War. Last is the Summary Court Martial. So, in trial, a different case would be the trial by a summary court martial, where its proceedings are much faster than those of the other types of court martial, since it has at least one member who sits as president, trial judge, advocate, or DGA, and a defense counsel at the same time, and since its jurisdiction is 2%. Offense and punishment is limited. Summary court martial can dispose of a certain case in the most expeditious manner. So, summary court martial consists of one officer shall have the power to try any person subject to military law, except an officer, a member of the NROTCU Corps, a cadet, a flying cadet, or second lieutenant for any crime or offense not capital made punishable by the Articles of War. So, military commission or tribunal. The commission or tribunal play the same role as a court martial. During martial law, which was in effect throughout the country from 1972 to 1981, these commissions or tribunals tried cases, referred to them in the same expeditious way. Even civilians who committed offenses not triable by court martial fell under the jurisdiction of these special bodies, whose proceedings were in accordance with procedural law. Next is a valid example of this case is that of a Chinese national who was accused of drug pushing and distribution and was found guilty by a military commission and made out the death penalty through musketry. So we are already ended our topic. So hope you have learned a lot. Thank you and God bless.